For many years, a deeply sensitive issue tied to the British monarchy has quietly lingered in the shadows, largely ignored by the royal family. However, King Charles has now taken a bold step by confronting the truth, an action that could alter the monarchy forever. The timing of his revelation, the precise words he used, and the implications of what he shared all pose a serious challenge to the institution's foundations. Could it be what many have long suspected? Join us as we explore the personal details King Charles has chosen to share at the age of 75. Charles, the future king, was born on November 14, 1948, at Buckingham Palace. His birth occurred while his grandfather, King George VI, was still reigning. At the time, his mother, Princess Elizabeth, held the title of Duchess of Edinburgh, and his father was Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. Charles was delivered via caesarean section and was the couple's first child. Over the years, he became an older brother to three siblings, Princess Anne in 1950, Prince Andrew in 1960, and Prince Edward in 1964. A turning point came on February 6, 1952, when Charles's grandfather passed away, and his mother ascended the throne as Queen Elizabeth II. From that moment, Charles became the heir apparent. By tradition and law, he inherited a collection of ancient titles rooted in English and Scottish history. In 1953, the young prince watched as his mother was crowned in a grand coronation ceremony at Westminster Abbey, marking the beginning of her historic reign. Charles's formal education began at age 5 under the guidance of a governess, Catherine Peebles. In 1956, he became the first heir to the British throne to attend a regular school when he enrolled at Hill House School in West London. He was treated like any other student and took part in activities like football, without special privileges. In 1958, he transferred to Cheam School in Hampshire, which his father had also attended. In 1962, Charles moved to Gordonstoun School in northern Scotland, known for its tough and disciplined environment. Reports later described how challenging life was for him there, with claims of bullying and loneliness. However, Charles would later defend his time at Gordonstoun, suggesting that the difficulties were overstated and that he had learned valuable lessons. In 1966, Charles studied abroad at Timbertop, a remote campus of Geelong Grammar School in Australia. He spent 2 terms there and joined a school trip to Papua New Guinea with his history tutor. Charles later described his time in Australia as the most enjoyable period of his education. After returning to Gordonstoun, he became head boy, just as his father had once been, and completed his studies in 1967 with 6 O-levels and 2 A-levels in history and French. Rather than immediately join the military, Charles chose to pursue higher education. In October 1967, he enrolled at Trinity College, part of the University of Cambridge, initially studying archaeology and anthropology before switching to history. He also spent a term at the University College of Wales in Aberystwyth, where he studied Welsh language and history. By June 1970, he had earned a university degree, the first British heir to the throne to do so. Although Charles had been named Prince of Wales and Earl of Chester in 1958, the formal investiture ceremony took place years later, on July 1, 1969. In a grand and widely televised event at Carnarvon Castle, Queen Elizabeth placed the ceremonial crown on her son's head. A year later, Charles took his seat in the House of Lords and, in 1974, made history by becoming the first royal in decades to deliver a speech from the chamber floor. Charles's royal responsibilities expanded as he grew older. In 1976, he founded the Prince's Trust, a charitable organization that supports young people in building better lives. His duties also included official overseas visits, such as a notable trip to the United States in 1981. During the mid-1970s, there were even talks of Charles becoming Australia's Governor-General, an idea backed by the Australian Prime Minister but ultimately abandoned due to lack of public enthusiasm. Alongside his royal obligations, Charles also pursued military service. While at Cambridge in 1969, he joined the university's Air Squadron and trained to fly a Chipmunk aircraft. By 1971, he had earned his wings as a Royal Air Force pilot. That same year, he joined the Royal Navy and studied at the Royal Naval College in Dartmouth. His naval service included postings on several ships, such as the HMS Norfolk, HMS Minerva, and HMS Jupiter. In 1974, Charles qualified as a helicopter pilot and trained with the Royal Marines. He concluded his active duty by commanding the HMS Bronington, a coastal minehunter, in February 1976. Later that year, he retired from full-time military service with the rank of commander. In 1977, he was appointed Colonel-in-Chief of the Parachute Regiment and even completed parachute training himself. However, after a particularly rough landing in 1994, he gave up flying. Throughout his younger years, Charles often made headlines not just for his royal engagements but for his personal life as well. He was romantically linked to several women from high-profile families, including Georgiana Russell, Lady Jane Wellesley, Davina Sheffield, Lady Sarah Spencer, and Camilla Shand. These relationships were often the subject of public intrigue and media attention. Behind the scenes, Charles's great-uncle, Lord Mountbatten, played a guiding role in his private life. Mountbatten encouraged Charles to enjoy his youth but advised him to eventually marry someone respectable, young, and with minimal romantic history. In 1974, Mountbatten proposed his granddaughter, Amanda Knatchbull, as a suitable match. Charles showed interest and contacted Amanda's mother, his godmother, who responded positively but felt Amanda was too young at the time. By 1980, Mountbatten suggested a joint trip to India with Amanda and Charles, but their fathers had reservations about the media attention it would attract and declined. Before the trip could happen, tragedy struck. In August 1979, Lord Mountbatten was assassinated in an IRA bombing. Amanda also lost her grandmother and younger brother in the attack. When Charles returned, he proposed to Amanda, but still grieving, she declined. The royal match, shaped by tradition and elders, never came to be. By this time, Charles's life had been filled with expectations, education, service, and personal hardship. Through it all, he remained committed to the monarchy, balancing the role of a future king with the pressures of a highly scrutinized personal journey. Diana's arrival into Charles's life was a twist of fate. In a 1981 interview, Prince Charles recounted the story of their first encounter. It took place at the Spencer family estate in Althorpe, in a setting as unexpected as a plowed field, hardly the romantic backdrop one might imagine. Yet for Charles, that quiet moment stood out. Diana, only 16 at the time, exuded energy, charm, and a spirited playfulness that immediately struck him. Charles, then 29, had already lived a life full of experience. The 12-year age gap was significant, something that could have raised concerns. But in that moment, it didn't matter. Charles was captivated by her joyful presence and couldn't shake the feeling she left behind after their brief meeting. What made their introduction even more unusual was that Charles hadn't come to Althorpe to meet Diana at all. He was actually there as a guest of his then-girlfriend, Sarah Spencer, Diana's older sister. The encounter occurred during a shooting party organized by Sarah, and although Charles was meant to spend time with her, Diana's presence redirected his focus. During the visit, Charles asked Diana to show him the gallery in the house, a seemingly minor request, but one that left a lasting impression on Diana. Still, nothing came of it right away. Charles continued dating Sarah, and the two even went on a skiing holiday in Switzerland, where they were photographed laughing and skiing together. All signs pointed to a budding relationship between Charles and Sarah. However, events soon took a turn. According to a biography by Sarah Bradford, Sarah Spencer later admitted she never had strong feelings for Charles and had no desire to marry him. This honesty brought their relationship to a natural close. Charles and Diana would cross paths again at his 30th birthday celebration, but nothing meaningful happened between them at that time. 2 years later, however, things began to shift. At a gathering hosted by their mutual friend Philip de Pass, devastating news broke: Charles's great-uncle, Lord Louis Mountbatten, had been assassinated by the IRA. The loss left Charles deeply shaken. Diana, witnessing his grief at the funeral, approached him with compassion, hoping to comfort him. Her sincere gesture created a subtle yet powerful connection. Sympathy evolved into something deeper, and from that moment, their relationship began to take shape. As their bond strengthened, Charles introduced Diana to his world. He invited her to experience the things he enjoyed, such as fishing, and brought her to Balmoral Castle in Scotland, the royal family's private estate. This was a significant step, signaling that their relationship was becoming more serious. The public began to take notice. Just 6 months after their romance had begun, the couple announced their engagement on February 24, 1981, via the Lord Chancellor. While the public excitement was palpable, the announcement didn't come as a surprise. Diana and Charles had been seen together frequently, and their growing connection was apparent. Diana made her first official appearance at Buckingham Palace during an engagement interview. She spoke warmly about Charles, expressing her admiration. Charles seemed pleased with her decision to marry him. Their love story resembled a fairy tale, especially given the quiet, intimate setting in which Charles proposed. He chose a calm evening at the palace to ask Diana to be his wife, a moment crafted to be deeply personal and memorable. And memorable it was. Following the engagement, Diana quickly became a global sensation. Her elegance, youth, and down-to-earth nature endeared her to the public. Coming from British nobility, she was seen as an ideal match for the royal family. Charles, ever thoughtful, gave her time to reflect on the engagement by traveling to Australia. But Diana's mind was already made up. She accepted the proposal and began preparing for her new role. She moved out of her modest apartment in Kensington, where she had lived with friends, and relocated to Clarence House to begin her royal transformation. During this time, the world got its first real glimpse of Diana's fashion sense and personality. Her clothing, demeanor, and especially her engagement ring became topics of fascination. The ring, an eye-catching 12-carat oval blue sapphire from Sri Lanka, was surrounded by diamonds and set in white gold. Its design, inspired by a piece originally made for Queen Victoria, was striking and unique, quickly becoming one of the most iconic engagement rings in the world. Despite the joy and public adoration, signs of trouble began to emerge. During their engagement interview, a question about their feelings for each other led to an awkward exchange. Diana confidently said they were in love, but Charles's hesitant and vague response hinted at something amiss. It was the first subtle indication that their relationship might not be as perfect as it appeared. Years later, author Andrew Morton revealed in a book the emotional turmoil Diana experienced leading up to the wedding. She battled fears and insecurities she kept hidden from the public. Just days before the ceremony, she discovered a bracelet Charles had made for Camilla Parker Bowles, a woman from his past. The discovery devastated Diana and led her to question the entire marriage. For a moment, she even considered calling it off, but her sisters urged her to go through with it, reminding her that everything was already in motion. Behind the fairy tale facade, cracks had already begun to show. As the wedding day approached, Diana was overwhelmed by mixed emotions. The night before the ceremony, she spent time with her sisters at Clarence House during a bridal shower. She did her best to enjoy the celebration, though her thoughts were consumed by the future. That same evening, a special package arrived from Buckingham Palace. Inside the box was a gold signet ring topped with the Prince of Wales' feathers, a heartfelt gift from Charles. Accompanying it was a handwritten note in which he expressed how proud he was of her and how excited he felt about their future together. Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer were married on July 29, 1981, at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. It was a historic moment, as it marked the first time in over 300 years that a British-born woman would marry the heir to the throne. The ceremony became a global spectacle, watched by millions around the world. Every element of the wedding was meticulously organized, sparing no expense. The final cost reportedly reached $48 million, making it one of the most lavish royal weddings ever staged. Diana's wedding dress captivated attention the moment she appeared. Crafted from ivory silk taffeta, it featured intricate hand embroidery, lace, and more than 10,000 tiny pearls. She looked radiant, her ensemble crowned by the Spencer tiara, a cherished family heirloom worn by her sisters on their own wedding days. As she walked gracefully down the long aisle, Diana seemed to glow with happiness, embodying the image of a real-life princess living out a fairy tale. Despite its grandeur, the ceremony included a few unexpected moments. Diana made headlines by choosing to omit the word obey from her vows, a groundbreaking decision in royal tradition. During the vows, she nervously mixed up Charles's names, saying Philip Charles instead of Charles Philip Arthur George. The slip prompted a quiet murmur among the guests. Charles, too, made a small error by saying thy goods instead of my worldly goods. But the most memorable mishap came at the end of the ceremony when Charles forgot to kiss Diana. Later, he redeemed himself with a spontaneous kiss on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, cheered on by a crowd of 600,000. That affectionate gesture became one of the most iconic images in royal history. Their honeymoon matched the wedding in grandeur. They set off on a 12-day cruise aboard the Royal Yacht Britannia, visiting serene destinations like Egypt and the Greek islands. Afterwards, they retreated to Balmoral Castle in Scotland, where they stayed in a quiet and cozy hunting lodge. Diana described the experience in a note to her secretary as perfect. Returning to royal life, Diana embraced her new role with grace. She accompanied Charles to official events and made her debut at the state opening of Parliament. But behind the scenes, her life began to shift in ways she never imagined, soon losing all sense of hope. Not long after settling into her royal duties, Diana discovered she was pregnant with their first child. While the public rejoiced at the news and celebrated the new chapter for the royal couple, Diana privately struggled. The pressure of her role left her feeling overwhelmed and deeply insecure. She craved attention and reassurance from Charles, but he seemed emotionally distant. On June 21, 1982, Diana gave birth to Prince William at the Lindo wing of St. Mary's Hospital in London, a break from royal tradition. Her decision to deliver in a hospital was unconventional for the royal family, and Charles's presence in the delivery room was also unusual. The hospital had to coordinate the timing of the birth around Charles's busy schedule to ensure he could be there. Despite the logistical complications, William's arrival brought genuine happiness to both parents. For a brief time, it felt like a fresh start for the couple. Diana later shared how meaningful it had been to have Charles by her side during the birth. She felt supported and close to him in a way that had been missing in their marriage. A few years later, they anticipated the birth of their second child. The pregnancy brought renewed hope to Diana, who believed the baby might help restore their strained relationship. She longed for stability and unity in their family. However, when Charles learned they were expecting another boy, he was visibly disappointed. He had secretly wished for a girl, perhaps one who might one day become queen. Although Prince Harry's birth briefly brought the couple closer, the joy faded quickly. Charles began drifting away emotionally and eventually rekindled his long-standing affair with Camilla B.S. Diana worked tirelessly to preserve the marriage and keep the family intact. She made every effort to win back Charles's affection, but it became clear that his feelings for Camilla had not diminished. Realizing she couldn't change his heart left Diana devastated. The fragile trust between them finally broke, and Diana later called the betrayal the most painful experience of her life. Despite the heartache, Diana didn't give up. In 1989, during a birthday celebration, she confronted Camilla directly. She would later describe the confrontation as one of the bravest acts of her entire marriage. She had hoped the conversation might make a difference, maybe even open Charles's eyes to her suffering. But instead of ending the affair, it only strengthened the bond between Charles and Camilla. Not long after, a scandal erupted. A private and deeply intimate phone call between Charles and Camilla was leaked to the press. The recording, dubbed Camilla Gate, shocked the nation. It revealed the personal and inappropriate nature of their relationship, throwing Camilla into the center of a media firestorm. Still married to Andrew Parker B.S. at the time, Camilla was publicly humiliated as tabloids tore apart her reputation. Eventually, Prince Charles addressed the controversy in a televised interview with journalist Jonathan Dimbleby. In a rare moment of royal candor, he admitted to being unfaithful, claiming his infidelity began only after the marriage had irretrievably broken down. Diana later shared her own perspective in a powerful 1995 interview, where she detailed the emotional toll the marriage had taken on her. She made it clear that another woman had always been present in their relationship. By then, their dream of a perfect union was already shattered. Just after Charles admitted to his affair, media scrutiny intensified. Camilla and her husband Andrew Parker B.S. announced their separation, confirming they had been living apart for 2 years. This revelation fueled ongoing speculation that a royal split was imminent. As the public dissected every detail of Charles and Diana's crumbling marriage, rumors about Diana's private life began to emerge. Among them were stories of her close relationship with Army Captain James Hewitt. Reports suggest that their romantic involvement began as early as 1986 and continued for 4 years. Whether or not these claims were accurate, many viewed them as a reaction to Charles's betrayal. The media seized on every detail, transforming the story into one of the most publicized and discussed chapters in royal history. A major turning point came on December 9, 1992, when the official separation of Diana and Charles was announced. The news was delivered in a formal statement by Prime Minister John Major in the House of Commons. He explained that although the couple had chosen to part ways, they were committed to jointly parenting their sons, William and Harry. Queen Elizabeth II fully supported their decision. Even though the separation had been anticipated, hearing the announcement formally made it feel all the more real. Surprisingly, just a few months later, Diana and Charles appeared together publicly. On May 30, 1993, they both attended a commemorative event for the 50th anniversary of the Battle of the Atlantic. Arriving together on the Royal Yacht Britannia, they seemed at ease and smiled for the public. The event was held at the world's largest Anglican cathedral, and many were stunned to see the pair side by side again. This rekindled hope among the public that reconciliation might still be possible. Their united appearance gave a fleeting impression of harmony, but it didn't last. The final time the couple was seen publicly together was on December 25, 1993, during the royal family's traditional Christmas walk at Sandringham. From that point forward, their lives moved in different directions. Diana devoted herself to humanitarian causes, working diligently to boost her public speaking abilities with help from voice coach Peter Setlin. Meanwhile, Charles remained dedicated to his royal duties, representing the monarchy both in the UK and abroad. Though they lived separately, both parents stayed committed to their sons and continued fulfilling their royal roles. In December 1995, a significant development occurred. Queen Elizabeth II sent a private letter to Diana and Charles urging them to make their separation official through divorce. This marked a pivotal moment in their story, signaling that it was time to move on. Just months later, on February 29, 1996, Diana's spokesperson announced that she had made the difficult decision to proceed with the divorce. The emotional weight of the announcement was heavy, but Diana handled it with grace, stating her intention to approach the process with dignity. While she would retain the title Princess of Wales, the journey ahead would be complex. That same day, Diana and Charles met at St. James's Palace to begin sorting through the legal details. Over the next 4 months, intense negotiations took place. Together with their advisors, they discussed financial arrangements and custody plans for William and Harry. Despite the strain, both parties aimed for a fair resolution. Finally, on July 15, 1996, the court approved their divorce, formally ending their 15-year marriage. On August 28, 1996, the divorce papers were made public, confirming the close of this chapter. Post-divorce, Diana entered a new phase in life. Though the legal battle was behind her, the emotional toll remained. She experienced a mixture of sadness and relief as she stepped away from one of the most famous marriages in history and into an uncertain future. While maintaining a composed public image, she confided in her brother-in-law, Sir Robert Fellows, about the inner turmoil she faced. In the following months, the details of the divorce settlement emerged. Diana would no longer be addressed as Her Royal Highness, a title once central to her identity. However, she was allowed to keep the title Princess of Wales, preserving her link to the royal family. The removal of her HRH title sparked debate. Charles supported it, while the Queen reportedly considered allowing her to retain it. Financially, the settlement ensured Diana's independence. She received a one-time payment of £17 million, or $22.5 million, and an annual allowance of $600,000 to fund her private office, which managed her charity work. Diana was permitted to stay at Kensington Palace, her longtime home. She retained her jewelry, along with access to royal jets and the use of state apartments at St. James's Palace for official and social occasions. These provisions enabled her to continue public life even without an official royal role. Though her marriage had ended, Diana remained a beloved and influential figure. She dedicated herself to meaningful causes and embraced her new path with bravery. Her life after the divorce became a story of strength and reinvention, even as she continued to carry the weight of her past. The world remained captivated by her journey, drawn to her kindness, her elegance, and the deep compassion she brought to everything she did. What do you think of Charles's conduct during his marriage to Diana? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Before you go, check out the other videos now appearing on your screen.